Thank you for joining us in the celebration of Filippo Corsetti's life. Phil's wishes were for us to have a party for his friends and family, to be remembered for his life here on Earth, not in a funeral parlor in a pine box on display. He requested no tears of sorrow, but instead tears of joy in remembrance of him. He requested to be buried at sea beneath the Golden Gate Bridge, which took place last month aboard the boat La Dolce Vita, which in Italian means the sweet life. Phil had a sweet life for 88 years, and as we look to the sea, we can remember Phil. Phil was born April 5, 1929, into a family of Italian immigrants, parents Vincenzo Corsetti and Maria Romoli in San Francisco, California. He was very close with his brother Frank, who was 16 months his senior. Speaking no English at home, when he started school, it became a real challenge. School was never a strong suit for Phil growing up. Coming from parents with no formal education and never graduating from high school himself, to see his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren graduate not only from high school, but college was something that made him very proud. At the age of 12, his family returned to Italy for a year to help out with family issues. After returning to the U.S., the nation was still in the midst of the Great Depression. People were poor and families stuck together to help one another. Growing up as a teenager during the Depression, work and play was a balancing act. He enjoyed motorcycles, automobiles, and his friends. To enjoy life meant getting a job as a teen. His work career started early, as a firefighter in summer, then back to school during winter. His neighbor, a warden on Alcatraz, got him a job on a water tender barge, delivering water to the prison and its inmates. This introduction to working on the water became an early start to his life on the sea. At 16, World War II broke out, at which point he joined the Merchant Marines. He began shipping out on victory ships, delivering supplies to our troops around the globe. While seeing the world, he was able to complete his education, advancing through various roles as a pumper, a wiper, an oiler, an electrician, and finally becoming a junior engineer. When the war ended, he continued his career through pursuing a life on the ocean. At 18, he married the love of his life, Mary Bononi, in 1947, a marriage that lasted 70 years till death do us part. Along with marriage came his first son, Philip Michael. At that time, still a sailor, he continued providing for his family through his love for the sea. During his trips, he brought back gifts from around the world for his family: china, jade, jewelry, and other precious items which Mary still has at her home today. In 1951, Mary had to make a career change to the land. His brother had a gas station, so he tried beginning some business ventures of his own, doing body and fender work, painting and repairing automobiles, running a portable steam cleaning business, and finally beginning as a dump truck driver. His body and fender business was family run, with Phil painting and straightening the cars, while Mary and little Phil sanded and masked the rest. Phil's brother, along with one of his friends, became partners in the auto body work, which ended up being short-lived, as they took shortcuts to repairing dents, only to have the repair unraveled by their own customers' closer inspection. This soon made the whole business of bodywork come unraveling along with it. As the partnership ended in 1953, Phil chose to stick to his business as a dump truck driver, choosing to end any and all future partnerships, providing for his family from then on in solo ventures. This new lifestyle was a 7-day-a-week job, 5 days on the truck, 2 days working on equipment. Mary chasing down brokers to get paid 7 days a week, another family business. In June 1953, along came his princess Janet Louise. Now that he had 2 children, meant he needed to expand his business into trucking and excavation or tractor work. This same year, he purchased his first home at 203 Hale Street in San Francisco. He made some great friends for life with that move, the Hale Street gang forever. He always made time for family and friends, enjoying family vacations, trips to Disneyland, Lake County, hunting and fishing trips, and never forgetting his family values. Always working on equipment, his mechanical wisdom continued to grow. He enjoyed sharing his knowledge with neighbors and friends, repairing whatever came along. Cars, bikes, motors, you name it, he worked on it. Those were the days when books and good friends kept things going, sharing knowledge, before the days of computers and Google. In January 1962, his son Prince Roy Anthony was born, so the house on Hale Street needed some remodeling for the new addition. The 60s were very good business years, and he had more time to enjoy life and go on gambling trips to Reno and Vegas, also going on cruises with Mary and the Hale Street crew. October 1966, he became a grandfather for the first time to Annette Marie. Now he had someone to spoil. Life in San Francisco in 1968 changed, so he decided to move his family, minus his son Phil, to 419 Cedar Avenue in San Bruno, out of the fog and into the sunshine. He made new friends on Cedar, which he then called home for the rest of his life. Life on Cedar and a lighter workload gave him more time to spend with Janet and Roy to witness them growing up. By 1970, his first grandson, Phil Anthony, was born. The family tree sprouted a new limb. This meant more family activities and more family get-togethers. He still enjoyed his gambling trips to Reno and Vegas, dreaming of hitting the big one. Those dreams continued up until his last days with us, playing his lottery scratchers. Mary just cashed in his last ticket to pay for our celebration today. As the 70s moved on, his mother Maria passed away, while his daughter brought him a second grandson, Vincent, in 1977, named after his father Vincenzo, who had passed away in the 60s. Business was still doing well, working 5 days a week and continuing to enjoy his hobbies of hunting, fishing, and working on boats. His 1914 Monterey fishing boat held its original motor, which brought people to stop, look, and listen. In 1982, his brother Frank passed away, leaving him as the last Corsetti of that generation. His brother left the family his 1938 Monterey fishing boat, the Maria Conchetta, that the family owned until it was recently put to rest. In November 1986, his granddaughter Megan was born. Living close by, she became very close to her Nunu. She could make him smile whenever she wanted, even until his last day. In May of 1990, his family tree took a huge leap with his great-grandson Jeremy, 61 years old and a great-grandpa. Where does the time go? In June of 1991, his grandson Anthony was born. Living close to his Nunu, Tony was able to hear many of Grandpa's old stories. He made his grandpa very proud when he shot his first deer last October. As the tree blossomed, the family get-togethers would continue to grow. In 1992, his second great-grandson was born, Jacob. Jake shared his love for the sea and fishing with his great-grandpa. In September of 1993, his first great-granddaughter joined the family, Jeremy's little sister Julia, with a special charm and beautiful brown eyes. In July of 1995, his son Phil married his sweetheart Mickey, which brought Rochelle and Jarrett into the family circle. September 2001, his great-granddaughter Jacqueline was born. Jack shared the love to compete to be the best at whatever game they played together. That competitive nature is in their Corsetti blood. A Halloween trick-or-treat in 2003, Jeremy and Julia's little brother Jagger was born into the family, another great-grandson to share in family gatherings. In November 2009, his eldest grandson Phil married his bride Diana, which included a beautiful great-granddaughter Sarah. Family holidays and birthday celebrations continued to keep the family close together throughout the years. In 1992, Phil retired from the trucking business, which had always been good to him. Retirement meant more free time to enjoy his life. It didn't take long for him to fill that void with what he enjoyed as a youngster, tinkering with mechanical projects, boats, tractors, loaders. He, with a couple of his old contractor retired friends, spent their time buying these toys at auction, rehabbing them, and selling them for spending money. They would have lunch every day, shooting the bull with his pals. This outlet kept him out of the house and allowed him the joy to fix things. As time went on, the playpen where they rented a yard became too expensive for the boys to play there. He moved his hobby shop to his home, spending a lot of time reading in his technical library in the garage. He made a number of interesting contraptions, ranging from fishing lures to a personal urinal for the boat. Tinkering on a wide arrangement of items around the house, he left his signature stamp on many inventions. Phil had his 15 minutes of fame in 1997, appearing on the news to speak about the changing environment of abalone diving. Visiting the Sonoma coast with his friend Martin, they were interviewed briefly to give their 2 cents about what should happen to poachers.
One of California's most rare and valuable resources is being plundered ruthlessly. Abalone poachers are making big illegal profits. And in tonight's Bay Area Spotlight, Channel 5's Dan Fouts reports there is a powerful new weapon to fight the poachers and help save the species.
This The Sonoma coast is one of the most beautiful places on Earth, and there's treasure just offshore. It's the world's richest habitat of the rare seafood delicacy called red abalone. It might not be around much longer.
I've been coming out here for around 40 years. My brother's been coming out here around 60 years. And they're just cleaning them out.
If they go down there with tanks and clean them out, clean out the bottom. Somebody's going down there poaching.
State game wardens say poachers are taking dozens, sometimes hundreds of abalone illegally. They sell them overseas for big profits, up to $100 a pound. And in the process, they are systematically wiping out the abalone population.
The waters off the coast of California were once teeming with abalone, but years of pollution, overfishing, and poaching have virtually wiped out abalone from San Francisco south to the Mexican border.
This is the only legal way to get fresh abalone in Northern California. Dive for it yourself and hold your breath. No scuba gear allowed. The limit is 4 abalone a day, and you can't sell it or barter it. Most abalone divers follow the rules, but the few who don't are blatant about it.
Oh, undersized, that one.
At Salt Point State Park, game warden Paul Maurer cites this man for one undersized abalone. That's a $500 ticket on the spot. A few minutes later, the same diver shows up at another beach a few miles down the road, apparently getting ready to go in again. He stops when he sees our Channel 5 camera. For old-time abalone divers, the tough new penalties are long overdue.
You gotta hang them. You know, put them in jail for a long time. Make an example so the other ones won't do it, you know.
Dan Fouts, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
The retirement years were filled with many trips with Mary to the Indian casinos to get scalped, but he enjoyed the challenge and these outings with friends. Traveling to Italy, hunting trips to Utah, and all throughout California for fishing and hunting, he always ensured to keep his family values and importance of his friendships at the top of his list. The last few years of his life, his health became an issue. 2013 to 2015, he was in and out of hospitals with COPD, pneumonia, and failing lungs. In May of 2016, he decided that after the doctors said there were no more tools in the toolbox, hospice was the only choice left to make. He didn't want to spend any more time in the hospitals becoming a pincushion. Once the hospice team took control of the situation, he was able to relax with the best of care. He had the best caregiver that anyone could have, his loving wife Mary. His last year, he was still able to enjoy his life. He was able to get scalped in April again at the casinos like he'd always liked, and was blessed to celebrate his 70th anniversary at his daughter's and Easter with his family at his son's home. The hospice team took the best care that anyone could ask for, and on May 26, 2017, Filippo passed away peacefully with his family at his side. Living his life full of friends, family, and adventure, Phil left behind a family that loved and cared about him as much as he did them. La Dolce Vita. What a sweet life.